put on your sunglasses, throw on your favorite trucker's cap, and get ready to record yourself speaking out against an evolving society. It's Ram time. The full-size truck, an American institution. A little over 2 years ago, I covered the Ram with the third generation, a 2005 1500 quad cab. Well, now it's time to talk about the fourth gen, a model that, out of necessity, had to step up to help the struggling Chrysler parent company through the 2010s. While Ford and Chevrolet were able to update their trucks fairly significantly during the decade, Ram had to get creative and focus on making the fourth gen Ram as good as it could be so they could double down for the fifth gen. While it may have seemed behind the times by the time this 2018 1500 Crew Cab Sport came out, Ram recognized early that truck buyers were increasingly looking for their trucks to be unique and stand out. Increasingly, truck buyers were looking for brighter colors, options to their heart's content, and for them to be truly their truck. Trucks were becoming an extension of their owners' personalities, and Ram smartly recognized this and was able to capitalize on it. Even if this was the old head of the big three trucks in the late 2010s, Ram was still able to sell a buttload of them because buyers were tired of boring silvers and grays. Despite Chrysler circling the drain in the late aughts, Dodge's truck division was hard at work with their fourth generation of Ram trucks. While the third generation burst onto the scene in 2002 with independent front suspension for its half-ton models, a new line of engines, and special editions galore, it failed to keep up with Ford's 11th gen F-Series and GM's GMT 800 trucks. In hindsight, I personally think that generation of Ram truck didn't really age well, as with most of Chrysler's mid to late aughts lineup. Just too bulbous in all the wrong ways, and it didn't turn the world on its head like the second gen before it did. Remember, before the second gen, trucks were mostly square and utilitarian. Then the second gen came out and showed you that you could have style in a pickup truck, and it sent Ford and GM scrambling for the first time in a long while. The third gen did not have that impact, and with their financials increasingly looking shaky, Dodge's truck division knew the fourth gen had to be something that was truly good, and something that could carry the company through hard times. Introduced at the 2008 North American International Auto Show in Detroit, the fourth gen Ram launched a cleaned up design that was more reminiscent of that all-important second gen, while also looking timeless and modern. For the 1500, the Mega Cab was replaced with the much more traditional Crew Cab, while the smaller quad cabs and two-door regular cab were retained. Engines and drivetrains were largely retained from the third gen, but the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 did get a substantial rework for this generation. Another big change was the rear suspension. Since the 1960s, it's been pretty much standard for pickup trucks to utilize a leaf spring suspension draped over a solid rear axle. Well, for the 4th gen 1500, Dodge shaked things up by replacing those leaves with a 5-link coil spring suspension. For the longest time, leaves were the choice for trucks because they were not only simple, but they were strong. For the longest time, multi-link suspensions were considered weaker, and were seen as unnecessarily complicated over a traditional leaf pack. This was a move aimed squarely at providing better handling on the road, as it becoming more and more apparent that more and more people were driving trucks as just normal street vehicles. This was a move engineers needed to make, to shake things up once again, and this kind of innovation was missing in the third gen. While it was coming at a much needed time, the 4th gen Ram couldn't come quick enough, and Chrysler filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on April 30th, 2009. Coming through the crisis with the new alliance and future ownership under Fiat, Chrysler would split off the SRT and Ram truck brands from Dodge in order to build their own identity and brands. I mean, I get why Ram was split off. Truck divisions are normally run separately from their parent brands, but it just seemed like throwing away almost a century of Dodge Truck's identity to give the truck division its own legs to stand on. But 12 to 13 years later, Ram trucks are here to stay as much as I complain. While the split was confusing for a few years, eventually people mostly got used to it. Mostly. I still hear these modern Rams referred to as Dodges, and that comes naturally when you've grown up talking about the big three American trucks: Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. So yeah, even if public consciousness is starting to move on, it's still very easy to still call this a Dodge. As the years ticked on, engines and transmissions would get updates and replacements, such as the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 replacing the old 3.7-liter PowerTech V6 in 2013, and the 3-liter EcoDiesel V6 courtesy of VM Motorai appearing in 2014. At this point, you started seeing special editions and trims, such as the Outdoorsman and the Mossy Oak edition of 2014. And in 2016, Ram offered an off-road package known as the Rebel. The Rebel was noted as it departed from the traditional split-hair grille that had been a staple of Dodge Ram trucks since the 1980s. It introduced a new grille that many compared to that of a face of an English bulldog. While old heads complained, the Rebel sold, and soon you could get your Ram truck with a non-split-hair grille across much of the lineup. As I mentioned towards the beginning of this video, this was kind of a move that Ram had to make as they couldn't come out with a completely all-new truck at the same time Ford and Chevy were. But these moves worked because, as it turns out, people like choice. People like variety. People like ordering a truck or a car that they can put their own stamp on. Ram saw this, and soon you can get special editions and special colors galore. In 2018 alone, your trim levels included Bighorn Express HFE, Laramie Limited, Lone Star Silver, Longhorn, Knight, Rebel, SLT, Sport, and Tradesman. Beyond that, there were 2 special editions for that year. A farmer-inspired Harvest edition that included Case IH Red and New Holland Blue, and the luxury-minded Laramie Longhorn South Fork edition. From 2013 to 2018, the Sport trim package was available in 2 special colors every year. For this 2018 model, it comes in a Sport-exclusive Hydro Blue, which really pops in the sunlight. The Sport trim is a mid-level trim, and as its name suggests, this is a Sport-inspired trim rather than luxury or work. You got a Sport-exclusive hood with fake scoops that comes with a Challenger-inspired racing stripe, blacked-out badges, special Sport stitching in the headrest, and body color matching interior bits. All in all, this is a bit of a shouty appearance package, but they sold a buttload of these. Just the same day I tested this Hydro Blue Sport, I saw a 2017 Sport in Sublime Green and a 2015 Sport in Ignition Orange. How do I know the years of those 2 other Rams? Because those were the only years you could get those shouty colors in those trucks. Speaking of options, this is a very weirdly optioned 2018 1500 Crew Cab Sport. As I just mentioned, the Sport package was a mid-level trim, and often you'd see them optioned upwards. Well, not this one. While the original owner had ordered this truck, a lady in Georgia opted for stuff like the color-matched interior, heated steering wheel, and power pedals. She also opted out of stuff like cooled seats, which is weird considering Georgia, the Alpine stereo, tonneau cover, and bed liner. It's weird, it's almost like a bare-bones version of the truck you'd normally see with all the bells and whistles for. Now the owner, Greg, got this truck as a salvage title because this truck was stolen from the original owner, and as a result, it was declared lost by the insurance. Well, a few months after that, the police found it abandoned and relatively unscathed. Greg, a former engineer for Chrysler and Holley, jumped at it since it was a very solid truck despite the salvage title, and he didn't care about the resale value. He wanted a nice solid truck, and here it was. Drive impressions? I'll keep them brief. It's a truck. What do you expect? It steers like a truck, it fills a lane like a truck, it bounces like a truck. The 5.7-liter Hemi V8 makes good noises and is more than willing to spin the rear wheels. The biggest plus the 4th gen Ram has over most other trucks in the segment is the coil spring rear. As mentioned before, most trucks use leaf springs. The coil springs actually do a very good job of soaking up the rough South Carolina roads. Most other trucks on these roads would try to destroy your kidneys, but not the Ram. It isn't car-like, but it's way more comfortable than you would expect. As something you would expect, interior quality is cheap and plastic. That was one thing that, despite the nice colors and usability, the Ram easily had probably the worst interiors out of these period trucks, which would be something that would be rectified with the 5th generation. In conclusion, while the 4th generation Ram 1500 may have been long in the tooth compared to its competition, it's still a very solid truck. Even though earlier Dodge trucks were known for transmission and other reliability issues compared to the other big 3 counterparts, I really can't find any big issues with 4th gens. Other than eco-diesel Rams, which, yeah, that would be something I would almost have to make a separate video on itself, because while cool, those trucks had a very long list of teeth and issues. But outside of those, the 4th gen Ram is a fairly reliable truck. Those early eco-diesels were seemingly remedied by extensive recalls, which, yeah, was needed. But the gas trucks are solid trucks. This is anecdotal, but personally, I've seen way more K2XX Silverado 1500s with transmission issues. And 13th gen F-150s have had on and off weird assembly issues. But everyone I know with one of these 4th gen Rams really hasn't had any major issues with them, despite the abuse their owners put them through. According to the internets, there does seem to be a brake transmission interlock issue on these trucks, and a TPIM issue causing weird electrical faults. But these were and are solid trucks. Even with the launch of the 5th generation Ram in 2019, Ram has continued to sell their 4th gen 1500s as 1500 Classics, being a cheaper and simpler option over the fancy new Ram for buyers and fleets alike. That was only supposed to be a 1 to 2 year thing to get rid of old stock, but they've continued to sell them well enough that Ram still hasn't killed them. The tooling is more than paid for, and if buyers still buy, why kill it? 2018 Ram 1500 Crew Cab Sport. It may be long in the tooth compared to its competition, but it's a solid, simple truck that you can get optioned to your heart's content. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. This week's episode comes courtesy of Greg of Beaufort, South Carolina. Thank you so much once again to Greg for letting me drive your truck for this channel. If you have a car or truck you'd like to see on the show and happen to be in the Charlotte-Mooresville, North Carolina area, email me your submission for your car at wookiedrives@gmail.com. That's right, submit your car to wookiedrives@gmail.com. That is wookiedrives@gmail.com. Don't forget to give the video a like, drop a comment with some feedback. Any feedback is good feedback, as honestly, any sort of interaction with this small channel really helps it grow in the algorithm. Share with all your 4th gen Ram friends. And finally, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more Wookie Drives like these. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.